Well, we are starting things off with Will Ospreay against MJF for the AEW International Championship. And I wonder what percentage of these fans were saying, oh, they're just going to give us some 5 minutes DQ run in and we'll save this one for Wembley. They came out and Justin Roberts makes the announcement that it is scheduled for a 60-minute time limit. And they note at the beginning, Will Ospreay 9-0 on Dynamite. And early on, MJF is doing a lot of heel work with the audience. He tossed a drink at someone, ripped his sign, and then we just get right into this. And the pace they're going at, I mean, we saw a Sasuke special by Ospreay pretty early on, and he's holding his ribs after delivering the move and followed that with a sky twister press. So the ribs were a target. Then MJF moved after faking a knee injury, draws in Will for a pile driver and starts mocking Daniel Garcia into the camera, doing his dance. And MJF goes after the knee. There's a lot of work in that direction until Ospreay goes for an os cutter, lands it, and then tries for one on the edge of the apron, missing him and just crashes on the edge. And now his shoulder is all messed up. And his selling of this shoulder was terrific throughout the rest of this match, which there was plenty more to come here, as MJF now focused on the shoulder, moving on from the knee and rams him into the steps shoulder first. And he's stating he is a real professional wrestler. Will is a bullshit copy of a professional wrestler. Hits a Made in Japan. They fight into the stands, which involved a little kid striking MJF at the behest of Will Ospreay before they made their way back, and Will was doused with a beer from Max.
That's a setup for a future program in about 20 years. I'm
the
sure.
Little child,
yes,
getting
MJF.
MJF going after this little child.
Yeah.
I love Tony Schiavone here, who they've been out of the ring for about 5 minutes, and Schiavone applauds Bryce for just letting them fight.
These were New Japan playoff rules. G1 rules, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And so Bryce is being very liberal here. Then they set up a table on, this is about 20 minutes into the match. They placed this table and it just sits there, and they did multiple teases of this table. And this crowd, it's like any crowd. They see a table and they just want to see this table be broken. So they kept checking in with us with this table, and it would culminate in a pretty big spot. But we keep going. Dude, Will is they battle on the edge of the apron, with Will managing a Styles class onto the edge as the crowd erupts at this move. And as we go to a picture-in-picture break, Doc Samson comes to check on Ospreay's arm, and he's trying to see what the mobility is like. And then Doc Samson, dude, grabs this arm and just yanks it to put it back into place. And this whole crowd is just like, they've seen all this stuff in this match, and they're going to see more, but it's popping a guy's shoulder back into the joint. That is just too much for people.
I think that might have been a first for a picture-in-picture commercial break. I don't know if they've ever done that, popping back into a socket. It conveys a whole lot, and I mean, in the case of some of the wrestlers, gives them a little bit of time to rest as well. So very well designed and well executed.
And Ospreay, in selling this arm, he's doing a one-armed last ride power bomb. He's maneuvering his offense to just use the good arm. So then we got this incredible shot where MJF is in control, and he's standing on the floor, and he points to his head that I'm the smartest man. And right as he does this, Ospreay flies from behind with a hidden blade, and the angle at which they shot this, it was incredible. He just comes out of nowhere. And then we see Ospreay blocking a top rope Rana moments later with one arm and lands a Styles Clash off of the turnbuckle, but MJF is able to grab the rope and move to the floor. Schiavone states, I have been here for all 250 episodes. I've never seen a match this good. And MJF ends up getting in control, placing Will onto the table. And as we go almost before the third picture-in-picture break of this match, MJF flies off the top with this elbow drop and putting Will through the table. All I could think about was the spot at the pay-per-view last year when the table was broken and he went with the elbow anyway and destroyed his hip. And to have that courage to let's do another spot where I'm going to go. And this guy went all in on this, and he came up and he had this nasty welt on his leg from this, but hopefully his hip was in place from this. This was a spectacular spot.
as many of the spots in this match were.
I
Yes.
mean, I'm doing my best here to just point out.
you're
certain
doing a great
highlights.
job. Yeah.
Did you? But at what point did you get the sense that they were going the 60?
Probably by the time we got to the third commercial break and I recognized the time. I mean, there's so much of this match I wasn't even looking at the clock, and by the time we got to the third commercial break, I recognized, we're about
Like this
45
race
minutes.
through, like all of a sudden I look down, like, wow, we're past 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The first 30 minutes, they're not working this like a match where, they're pacing that you get the thought that they're going 60.
Not at all. No, this is not Brett versus Shawn at WrestleMania 12. You're not getting too many holds. Like they're going at an incredible pace for this entire 60 minutes.
So MJF is catapulted into the corner, and then we see a super poison Rana, but MJF lands on his feet. And let me emphasize how late in the match that they're doing this incredible athleticism. So MJF goes for a super Rana. Now Ospreay lands on his feet. Just an amazing sequence. And they go into these crazy fish out of water covers, just one after the other, counter, counter, counter. And the crowd is buzzing with all the kickouts. There's an Oscutter that is nailed with a MJF super kick in midair. Will hits the poison Rana, and the Stormbreaker is avoided, ends with a Spanish fly as they come off the ropes. An amazing sequence, and they just hit everything perfectly. We see a springboard into an Oscutter, hidden blade, MJF kicks out. So then MJF ducks a follow-up hidden blade, spits into Ospreay's face, so Will applies the double underhooks, and he's got the look on his face. He's going to go for the Tiger Driver right as Justin Roberts announces that there is 1 minute remaining, and they've got the countdown on the screen as well so the crowd can see this. And he hoists him up for the Tiger Driver, but he hesitates. He can't do it and puts MJF down. And with that, MJF knocks Ospreay into Bryce Remsburg and drills Ospreay with the Dynamite Diamond Ring and gets his arm on top and pins him with 2 seconds remaining in the time limit. 59 minutes and 58 seconds. MJF is the new AEW International Champion, the third longest match in AEW history, and 2 seconds off the Hangman Bryan Danielson match on Dynamite.
And what was the exact time again?
59:58.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's incredible that
I will admit I was not timing this, but I believe Cena was, and he had like the same. Like it seemed to be like they nailed the time.
It's just amazing to me. Like, and this was the same case with the Cole match where, I mean, oftentimes they might even work it. Like they might go a little bit over and just kind of claim that there's a minute left. But in this case, it seemed very legitimate. And it's just always amazing to me that like wrestlers can plan something out like this and they can do as much as they do and somehow end it at like the perfect time. It's amazing. And this was unique, obviously, because they were using the sort of threat of the hour-long draw to play with our expectations. And I don't know if this is consistent or not, but they had Justin Roberts announce it. I don't know if they've done it for like every single one of these. But here, obviously, it was for effect, so that the audience was aware that the time limit was coming. And they swerved us by actually giving us a finish here. What can you really say about this hour-long match, dude? It's like...
This was incredible. This is one of the best TV matches you're going to see.
Yeah. You know what each of these two are capable of at their very best. They are two of the best wrestlers in the world. And you pair them together, you can't get anything but, I think, an amplified result from the both of them. It felt like a match where each of them were approaching their max capacity. No pun intended. I felt like each of them were delivering the best material that I think they had, and I'm sure they were both equally motivated, having to face each other and to try to deliver a 60-minute match like this. There was no like break other than maybe pausing for like the shoulder separation spot, but like even that was like engaging.
Dude, the pace they were going at for those final like 15 minutes was incredible. These guys they could have gone another hour. Like they were just in like the final 15 minutes. Like it's incredible what they were doing that late in the match and the pace that they held for like a 60-minute match.
That is something I feel like we will see in our lifetime, John. A 2-hour television match on Dynamite, or just on any sort of TV show. And there's a good chance it could be these two doing it because they have incredible cardio and creativity.
As we're talking about this cardio, and you pull up the image of the guy with the oxygen.
Is this not the perfect shot though? You know, for a guy who somehow escaped with the championship, but like had to wear an oxygen mask at the end of it. I thought like the Ospreay's tease of using the Tiger Driver was like, I'm not that into this whole like he has to execute, he's trying not to execute the Tiger Driver, but he really like calls for it every single time. I don't really love the storyline, but it was way better executed in this match than I thought
this one
was in the Swerve match.
Oh yeah, like the Swerve one, I just think it was executed so poorly. Like I feel like there was just like there was something off with just the layout of the match and how Ospreay conveyed it, where it was like he didn't show any reluctance, whereas this one you did do the reluctance, and it ended up costing him at the end.
Yeah. And so at this point you get the title switch, and now you set the stage for Wembley with Ospreay chasing Max. Like at the end of, when they announced this particular bout for TV, I was fully confident that I think we'd result in something that would have helped the Wembley show, because I think we've seen the way Tony books, you know? Like this isn't just hot-shotting. It's okay, it is hot-shotting for a good rating for sure, but it's also done with the intended effect of making you more excited for the Wembley match, which, man, after 60 minutes of wrestling, you figured you'd be kind of exhausted by this. But no, the answer is no. Like, I'm more excited for the Wembley match after something like this. And now you have a storyline reason to want to see Ospreay beat MJF as well. I
just thought that these two, it was just so evident at the beginning, like the chemistry that they had from go, and I don't think anyone was too stunned by that, but I was just I love this match. I thought it was outstanding. I think this will easily be in the conversation at the end of the year. It was that strong. And when it comes to matches on Dynamite specific, while people are looking at the 250 episodes, you could certainly make the claim the best match in Dynamite history.
So Wembley has to top this, and I don't think they're going to get 1 hour at Wembley. So they're going to have to top it, I guess, in other ways. Yeah, it'll be really
10-minute time limit is how MJF he will only defend the title if it's a 10-minute time limit.
I think we also have to give it up to Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay,
dude, this crowd was great. This crowd was great, and I thought they were going to have such a come down after this, and that was not the case. Like they were very heated for that Mercedes Nyla Rose match.
Yes, and one for the main event as well.
Yeah, like it was a great crowd. And listen, that would be my thinking, is that if I, like, no one's doing cartwheels over 3,000 people for a show, but I am going to put on a show. And granted, you can't do this every week, but to go out there, I would want to make those that were on the fence and didn't come, that you missed something incredible. And you go out there and you give those 3,000 people something that they will remember forever, like to be in, to witness this match live. You hopefully have like cemented something for AEW in this market that they have not run before.
So maybe shifting this to the topic of ratings. What do you think? What do you think the quarter-hour chart will look like for a match like this? And is there a number in your mind that you think you should expect when you're giving a match like this on television?
Well, I think you couldn't start with like your lead-in that should hopefully, like you're starting with your two biggest stars. And I think anyone that was tuning in, even with that, like that WWE mind of, okay, they can't possibly be giving us a match. Like you knew pretty early on, they're giving you a real match and then some.
Yeah, AEW has established that.
And the hope would be that like this, like typically, this isn't, a pattern every single time, but typically, a match like this, it's going to grow your audience. It's one of the reasons, like, I never liked the idea of the Iron Man matches, because we saw what would happen on TV, where you're telling people when to tune in and when to tune out and come back for the final minutes when it'll matter. I think if you're going to do a 60-minute match, you do it like this, where it's just, it's growing and growing. I mean, tonight, there's factors, there is several things going on tonight, but I think hopefully this is one where they get a healthy lead in, and that it was like you had the star power, you had the match quality, and hopefully that hooked enough people. This is certainly going to be, it was a big test to do the whole first hour of this and hopefully keep people attracted, and you would want to see like positive growth throughout the hour. We will see. Like typically it's that big start and then it levels off throughout the rest of the show. Your hope would be maybe to kind of buck that trend and hold on to more of that first quarter audience, and you had as compelling a match as you could put on paper and deliver to people. To like, if you're tuning it out after 15 minutes, I'd argue like there probably isn't a match that's going to keep that person if they're getting this and not interested.
Regardless, I still think it was worth doing because the end result of this is that I'm more excited for the Wembley match than I was going into it. So I don't think they lost anything by overexposure. And
well, that's the bigger question, is more so than just focusing on this rating. It's the Wembley number. Like they have been stuck at 40,000. And I think while not announced, everyone I think believes you're getting this match at Wembley. Are we going to see like ticket movement for the rematch and Will going for his title in 5 weeks time?
Well, they have 5 weeks to make this feud that much more personal. You know, they already have it a pretty good start here. Now they've added the fact that it's Ospreay chasing MJF for a championship, and I'm sure the promos are going to be coming and they're going to be digging a bit deeper in the weeks to come.
Is there any way you see Will going for this title having a chance to go on last over Danielson going for the AEW title, or is the Danielson going for the title still the top story?
I could see this closing the show the same way Brett versus... Well, actually, did Brett Davey close the show?
Yes.
They did, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in that same vein, I could see it. I mean, at this point, you have to argue what is the bigger match for the live crowd, and as big of a deal as Danielson going for the championship might be, I have a feeling this one might be the more anticipated match.
Does Will come out with Lennox Lewis?
I don't know. Okay. It would be an ambush.